Happy New Year, everybody. Let's start the year with growth, opportunity, and thinking outside the box. On this episode, our special guest, Ashley Burnett, tells us how she capitalized with her green thumb. Ashley graduated with an environmental degree, and from there, went right into working with Disney. From Disney, she moved to Virginia to become a police officer. As opportunities arise, her lifestyle changes. Her family and her decided to move to Fernandina Beach, Florida, where her love for plants really expanded. Ashley saw an opportunity in the exotic indoor plant space. And that's where the mobile plant shop came to life. From South Georgia to North Florida, Ashley brings the plant market to you. A whole new experience for anyone that walks into her trailer. This episode's going to be a great one. Let's grow.
Are you ready to grow? The Plant Movement with Willie Rodriguez of A's Ornamental Nursery in sunny South Florida is the podcast for those in the nursery business. Garden centers, landscapers, power growers, and plant enthusiasts. Willie is a passionate leader in the plant movement and has helped others grow their business into multi-million-dollar companies. This show will save you time, money, and headaches through top-notch education and by connecting you to experts in the industry. Let's grow. Here's your host, Willie Rodriguez.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Plant Movement Podcast. I'm your host, Willie Rodriguez. And like always, guys, we love to connect you with people that are in the industry, growing, stepping outside the box, doing things a little different. And today we have a very special guest. We have Ashley Burnett with Coastal Roots Greenery. And I'm excited for today because her story is awesome. She's not only a mother of two children, a wife. She used to be a police officer. She worked at Disney. She started her own thing when she came back to Florida. We have so much to go over today. And I'm just excited. I'm pumped because I love this. I love the industry. And I love speaking with people like you that are just innovative, creative, and just think outside the box and are excited about life. And I feel like that's what you are in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So I want to start with, you got out of college. And that's your first, let's say, experience with plants, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah. I left college with an environmental degree. And I think 2 weeks after graduation, I went right to working at Disney. And that was like my first professional experience working with plants or in a greenhouse.
And explain to me, how is that? Because Disney, I have kids, my kids love to go to Disney. And I've always, like, their landscapings are state of the art. They're top notch. There's no burns on any plants. Everything is perfect, how it should be. And that's what Disney is. So explain to me that whole experience, what you did and all of that.
Yeah. So I actually worked if you've been to Disney, the Living with the Land boat ride, the one that takes you through the greenhouses.
Yes.
That's where I worked. And I did like beneficial insect control there. Okay. So I would scout the plants for pests, and we raised some beneficial insects in-house. And then I got to work with other people in the greenhouse that were more hands-on with the plant. But I loved working there. And then from the greenhouse, I moved to their larger pest control division. Okay. And that's where I worked with, more pests than I did landscaping.
That's cool. One thing you said that really stood out to me is that they cultivate pests to control the bad pests. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we raised these a species of beneficial wasp, and they would go after the leaf miners. We released ladybugs. We did some of the beneficial mites. We did the minute pirate bugs. There were a whole bunch of ones that we introduced, but actually in-house raising were the wasps.
Okay, so they wouldn't spray any pesticides. They would do it all naturally.
No, they would. Yeah, they did both. They had a combination of both. Yeah.
Cool. That's so cool that there's we're all living organisms and a different pest, let's say, or like ladybugs, wasps that can control other pests. So that's very, very interesting. So you learned a lot at Disney.
Yeah, I did. I definitely did. Yeah.
How long were you there for?
I did it was like a professional internship. So I did that for, I think it was 11 months or just under a year, something like that. And then I moved to the pest control division and I was there just under 2 years.
So you were there a total of almost 3 years. And that, you learned a lot. A lot.
I did. Yes.
That's so interesting. Yeah, that's very cool. So from there, you moved out of Florida and you moved to another state. And then
so I'm originally from New York. Okay. So I moved from New York to work in Florida for the couple of years I worked for Disney. And then I wound up returning home And I worked for my father's pest control company. He owns a pest control company, has for 30 years, very successful. So I worked with him for about a year while I was applying for police entrance exams.
Wow. And then you became a police officer in New York?
I actually moved then to Virginia. So
Okay.
I was a police officer in Henrico County, Virginia it was probably just under 3 years before I had my first baby, and I wound up leaving.
Okay. So you left to become a stay-at-home mom and take care of your kids because no one's going to do it better
Yes,
than you. That's
that's
awesome.
right.
I love that. Oh, I love that. And, when you think of just that, like for you guys listening, it's like, she's a mom. She's got 2 kids. She's a wife. She has a house to take care of. Like so many things that this woman does. And on
Mhm.
top of that, she's taking it upon herself to now start selling plants. And it's something that started off as a hobby, correct?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
And then from there, it just grew into. So how was that? Tell me that experience. You were collecting plants for yourself, something that you liked as a hobby, spruce up the house, like you guys see there in the Zoom. For you guys watching this on YouTube, she has plants in the background. So it started from that. And then when did it click for you that, hey, there's an opportunity here for me to do something?
Yeah, so we wound up moving to from Virginia. We moved to Fernandina Beach,
Uh-huh.
Florida. We fell in love with the area. And being in Florida, the climate for having plants is a lot longer than Virginia. So it just opened the door for things that we could have in our house. We had great lighting, just outside enjoying the plants on our porch. So I was going crazy. I mean, I went crazy when I went down here. There was so much variety that I just loved getting as much as I could and cramming it on my porch and inside my house. And then we would go to markets like farmers markets and see that there wasn't really anybody in Fernandina Beach offering, exotics or interior foliage. We saw some farmers markets, some herbs and veggies and sometimes some hanging baskets and ornamentals, but nobody really catering to that interior or that exotics plant market.
Okay.
So I thought I could do that. I already have half of them on the patio.
Yeah.
I might as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can start a whole shop just by taking what you have.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
that's what fueled you to want to start this. You saw the opportunity and you wanted to take it and dive right in.
I did. And I mean, I loved the hobby and I've met so many great people in the hobby alone. And I really just wanted to I think most parents find that like they kind of lose little bits of themselves as they have children. And I kind of wanted to go back to something that I was so passionate about and loved so much and see if, what I could do with it for my family.
Okay. So, and I see some of the reels that you've created for Instagram. You have your kids around the plants and, they're being raised with that lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, my daughter loves it. She has plants in her room and she takes care of them and helps me. She loves helping me with the greenhouse. They love when I come back from a plant run or a plant restock, unloading my trailer with me. And just we have this little chain of children bringing plants from the trailer to the greenhouse.
That's awesome. So tell me what it is that you guys actually do, because we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, so I'm a mobile plant shop. I travel anywhere from South Georgia to North Florida. And basically, I bring the plants to you at a market, at Beer Fest. I do small events, little pop ups here and there with local businesses. And I kind of wanted it to be like a fun experience to shop. So that's kind of where I came upon the idea of the trailer was I wanted it to be like you were walking into a plant shop and your eyes were everywhere. Because I know whenever I walk into a plant shop, I'm like in my happy place.
Uh-huh.
So I wanted to bring that happy place to the market. And yeah.
What made you want to get, because guys, her trailer, she nicknamed her trailer. What's the name of the trailer? Rudy.
Rudy. Yes.
Rudy is the name of the trailer. You guys got to jump on Instagram and check it out. It is a little trailer, but did you purchase it already with the doors and with the windows and stuff like that? Or that's something that you guys created after you purchased it?
No, so I found it off of Facebook Marketplace. I looked for about 2 months for the perfect size trailer. Some were too big, some were, already renovated, and I knew that I was going to gut them. So I found the perfect little trailer from an antique dealer. He just used it to transport antiques back and forth. It was somewhere in Florida. I bought it from him. It was already gutted. Like he had already done a lot of the work, which was great. He had gutted it. He re-insulated it, new tires, painted the exterior. And then my husband and I did some small touches, but my brother owns a metal fabrication business. He installed the window, he did the large letters, and just did like some of the metal work on the trailer too.
What made you want to get something funky versus a traditional style trailer?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's so eye-catching. Like retro and vintage and repurposing is so popular right now. I mean, I know I love it, and it's such a large conversation piece at markets and festivals and wherever I go. I mean, I get like beeped on the highway, and just
Because it's
people love seeing this old vintage camper, especially people that grew up with that with their parents camping. I get a lot of people that grew up, in the 60s or the 70s, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, my parents had one of these." And I get so many questions just on the trailer. So that alone, even if you're not in the market for a plant, they come up, they talk, they tell you that they learn about your business, you learn about them. It's just a great conversation piece.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I feel like every business, something to take from this, guys, is if you can create a way to stand out, it's a much needed thing because there's competition everywhere. And even her, that she might be able to go to one of these flea market places or set up somewhere. There might be someone else selling plants. They're in a traditional 10 by 10 tent with plants in a pickup truck. She's already on another level when it comes to just that, standing out and bringing something different, a conversation piece, a niche just to what she's doing that makes it just so much more exciting and easy for someone to come up and start conversation. So now that you have been in the pest control side and now started doing your own thing with selling plants and doing the pop-ups with the trailer and all of that, what are some of the things that you have learned that you didn't know when you started that now you have learned a lot of and you feel more confident in?
I guess just working the markets, driving the trailer. I drove trailers when I worked in Disney because part of the division of pest control that I worked in involved trailers.
Okay.
So I was driving a lot, pulling a lot of trailers, 5 days a week there. So I was pretty comfortable with this trailer when I bought it, but it was still a little bit of a learning curve. The smaller the trailer, the harder it is
Harder
to
it is,
navigate.
especially
So just kind of dealing with those at like the festivals, being able to kind of finagle it in these weird sections, or maybe market coordinators don't understand how somebody parks a trailer well. So just kind of being able to finagle that. So definitely my trailer skills have gotten much better over the years.
and
Um,
I have two other questions, but one of them being how do you enter these markets for someone that might be listening that wants to maybe grow into what you're doing today? This is one of the things that you had mentioned on the questionnaire we did on Instagram, that you would be more than happy to help and speak to
mhm,
the community. How do you get into these places aside from the conversation piece, which is the trailer, that I feel like that attracts people that want to continue doing things with you or see you somewhere
mhm.
else? How did you get into these markets or find them or get to the point where you're doing, let's say, a private event or something like that?
I mean, I knew about a couple markets just because I had lived in Fernandina for a year. So we would go out and see them as we drove around, or the festivals, the beer fest. But Facebook, the events portion of Facebook is such a big place to find local, and you can expand your radius out. That's why I find things in Georgia. And if you just Google like market, beer fest, festival, shrimp fest, I mean, if you just Google that and then put in your local area, there's so many options that come out. I think in the beginning, I was so terrified of getting turned down from these markets and these events, like, oh no, sorry, we can't accommodate you. And now I just don't care. I reach out to anybody that I think might be a good fit for me to pop up.
Mhm.
And, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least I tried. So I've tried, I've done a lot of different ones in like Jekyll Island, St. Simons, Georgia, because there's nobody doing it there.
Also, St. Augustine earlier when we were speaking.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I went to a
overall,
St. Augustine market and it did really well because there was nobody there for it.
yeah, and then you have a lot of foot traffic. Like if you're going to a spot that is a tourist attraction and there's nothing but tourists there, it's something that is very, very good to have, because people at the end of the day, they might not all have green thumbs, but there's always a percentage of people that like plants and are attracted to them because they are
Right.
things. One of the other things that you had asked in the questionnaire was, how do you know when it is time to get like a storefront? Is that
Yeah.
something that you see yourself doing? That is where your dream is taking you for the future of Coastal Roots?
I'm not sure yet. I think initially when I began this, before I even purchased the trailer, I had said to my husband, I would love to open up a plant store in Fernandina Beach. That's my dream. That's my goal. And I feel like over the years, I think that's changed a little bit. I'm terrified to do anything retail wise,
Why?
especially today.
Why?
Just today, I feel like the price of retail spaces where I am locally is really high. But at
Mhm.
the same time, I want to stay locally because this is where a vast majority of my customers are. This is the community that supports me. So I want to be in my community, but I'm also terrified that it'll fail. And most of these leases that I look at, because I do always keep my eyes open for opportunities to open up. And I mean, they're wanting 5-year leases. Like, it's not like I could take a year and just try it. We're looking at 5 years of my life that
Yeah.
maybe it'll fail and maybe it won't work out. And now we're in a hole and then I have to start over. So I'm not confident enough to know, it'll absolutely work out. And I think that's my biggest holdup and hesitation is
I,
not being confident in it yet.
I can tell you that you'll never know. You'll never know
Yeah.
unless you're in it, and when you make
Yeah.
the leap, like there's something inside of you that doesn't allow you to fail. It's like, I can't fail. We have to do this.
Right.
If you got to stand on the street and be at the red light, shaking there with 2 plants in the air, you will figure it out to be able to make it happen. But yes, it is
Mhm.
very intimidating, especially you being someone that's not in the industry. You
Mhm.
mentioned there that you love to sell locally. Do you ship plants or no? You don't do
I
that.
do. Yes, I do. I do a lot. I ship them all over the U.S. I think I'm not able to ship to California, Arizona, Louisiana, Texas currently with how I'm licensed, but anywhere else.
You could do it if the grower is certified for those states.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I do ship.
Yeah, because that's
Mhm.
a great way. What made you want to start shipping and just learning all of that? Because that's a huge learning curve on how to ship
Yeah.
that much. What made you want
Larger audience. I mean, I actually started listing plants on Facebook Marketplace in 2021 after I was cleared to ship. And I mean, I was shipping sometimes 15 plants a day on
to?
Marketplace. And I mean, for me, it was like, oh,
Yeah, no,
wow, this is
yeah,
this is
because you
great.
started off with zero, with shipping 0
Yeah,
plants a day. Yeah, so 15
right,
is exciting.
right.
Uh-huh.
And then, I do live Fernandina Beach is a little bit of a touristy town certain times of the year. And so I'd get a lot of people coming to me and say, "Oh, I love this, but I flew here from I flew here from Indiana and I can't take it back with me." And so I'll say, "Hey, prepay now, give me your shipping cost. I'll ship it to you tomorrow." And
Perfect.
I get a lot of people, they pick the plant, they saw the plant, it's set aside and it goes in the mail tomorrow for them.
No,
So,
I love that because it creates a relationship because they got to meet you. They got to see you
right.
one.
Mhm.
And one thing I love about what you do is you handpick the product. So you
Mhm.
go out to local interior grown foliage nurseries that are
Mhm.
great growers and you go and you handpick everything. That is something you don't see a lot of that. I know people in
Right.
your space, they do that, but a lot of it is, hey, just send me the plants. I need them. And that's what it is. So you bring that edge to the table that people that buy something from you, they understand that it's something that you feel that is up to par and up to the caliber of what you would want to sell to your client,
Right.
making sure that the plant is as healthy as it is, or it's going to get a new leaf. That I know that is
Right.
in you guys' space. Your guys' space is a little bit different than the space I'm in, but I do
Mhm.
understand it very well. So that's very cool. Another thing I saw you dabble in, which is exciting, is that you can be very creative. Not only with your trailer and the way you have it set up, but the creativity grew to the point that you are doing moss sculptures and moss frames and moss walls and things like that. Tell me about that. What inspired you to want to get into that?
I started seeing it just kind of online a little bit, which kind of led me to seeing it on Plant Me Rosie.
Okay. Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
yes, and so I actually messaged her and I was like, "Please tell me that you're going to offer like a course on this or a class
Oh,
or
that is
something." And
awesome.
she was like, "Yes, sometime in the future." So she actually offered it at Tea Pie last year, and I went and I took her
Yeah.
course,
Uh-huh.
and she was awesome, and
You took her
the
course?
class was awesome.
You took her
Yeah,
course. That's awesome.
yeah,
Look, she did this
yeah.
back here. That one.
Oh, did you? Yeah, see, that's awesome.
Yeah, it came out
Yeah.
really.
So she's awesome, and I just loved what she did, and I thought, well, even if I could do that on like the smallest scale, it would be just another,
Opportunity. Yeah. Another.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
see.
So yeah, so I sell it on the trailer and I'll do it, locally commissions. whatever people want.
So someone can come up to you and be like, hey, I'm looking to do this. I would like it like this. Is this something you can create? And you can make something custom.
Yeah, I'm open to the challenge. I try to be as creative as I can with it, and I'm anal with it. So
Yeah, that's
I
how,
love doing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Art at the end of the day is whatever you feel. And I love just some of the pieces I've seen that you've done a couple American flags, which are very neat.
Yeah.
And they don't have the American flag
Thanks.
colors, but they're patterned
Uh-huh.
like a flag. And you use, what are they, strawberry flowers as the stars?
Straw. Yes, straw flowers.
Straw flowers. So it's very
Yeah. And I grew them all myself this year. I was having a hard time sourcing it last year, and so I grew them all myself this year.
So look back 3 years. You know, you were a police
Mhm.
officer, now having a baby, having to want to quit your job to be able to be there for the kids. And now you were
Mhm.
able to get back into something that was a hobby back in the day, you know, having experience, I guess, with pests, which is not something you really use today because the plants you buy are pest controlled and all of that. And now look
Mhm.
at what your idea, your hobby has led you to. It's even led you to get a greenhouse, because that was one of the things I was like, man, she's going down Central Florida buying 500 plants at a time. Where's she putting all these
Mhm.
plants? And then
Yeah.
you set up a plastic sun house, greenhouse in the yard. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so first year, I did my big order, had all my fall shows set up, and it got cold really quick that year. And so I panicked and I kind of insulated my entire lanai. I had my husband out there 11 o'clock at night stapling up this plastic.
It's awesome.
So I think the next day I ordered a greenhouse, and it took a couple weeks to get here. But yeah, it's a steel frame greenhouse. It's not very big. I'm not I don't have like a lot of acreage right now. So right now it's just kind of flushed up to my little cookie cutter house. And it does its job. I shaded it and I ventilated it. So I'm able to regulate it pretty well in the summer and pretty warm in the winter, but
Yeah.
it works for me.
Oh, you saw the need for it because your investment was going to die, basically. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
yeah, you
Hmm.
either invest a little more to protect your, not just that investment, but all your future investments, because you're going to
Yeah.
continue. So
Hmm.
maybe as time goes on, you get another one, or maybe you pack three next to each other in the backyard, and that's what it is. It is what it is for now.
Right.
I think, like, for me, I see people that have stores, depending on where they're at. I see it as a large opportunity
Mhm.
to be able to drive traffic in, because like when you're doing a pop-up, you're there for that day. Or if it's a 3-day event, you're there for those 3 days. And then that's it, you disappear. If people didn't get
Right.
contact, or they forgot your name, or they didn't take a picture of your trailer, they don't know who you are. They lost you
Hmm.
forever. So I feel like
Right.
if it's stationed somewhere, you have 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 cars pass a day. That creates
Hmm.
not just opportunity for them passing by now, but they know that you're there, that they can come back next week, or they can come back and
Right.
check you out. The good thing too is you offer shipping. So shipping is something that's very big, and you have to do it in the competitive space that you guys are in. Someone
Hmm.
anywhere in the world basically can get a plant from you if you have the variety that you have. And speaking about varieties, you don't just buy what, let's say, is popular, because I know one thing in your side of the industry is finding things that are very rare, or something that has a specific color that's not normal. So it's like
Right.
funkier side of the industry.
Hmm.
That's not how our side of the industry is. Our side is more the same plant all the time. They're looking for a specific height. And like
Right.
the funky stuff, they don't really use. You do see designers that they'll put funky things in, but it's not the
Hmm.
norm. So tell me about that. How do you go out and find those rare things? Do you make phone calls and ask people if they have something like that, or you just see it when you're going somewhere, when you're walking through a farm? How is that?
Right. I feel like I've always been drawn to like the different looking things.
Mhm.
It may not be the prettiest plant, but they're just like different looking. They're weird looking. They're a conversation. People are like, "Ooh, what is that?" And I love it. So that's what I look for when I go out. I try to kind of offer everything on my trailer, from, beginners that are scared because they've killed every plant they've ever owned, or those that are probably, better plant growers than me, and they're just looking for the next like interesting plant or rare piece for their collection. So I just kind of look for that when I'm out at the growers. And I feel like I do follow a lot of like, I see the trendy plants that are happening on Instagram and Facebook. And I can kind of, when I see these trends pop up, like I can say like, all right, this is probably going to be at my grower when I go this month. And what are they charging for it? And what does Publix charge for it? Because now they're in Publix, and can I compete with that? And there's all different, things that I look for when I select the plants that I'm picking that month.
Yeah, and that's cool. Like, there's something is trending, it's like free advertising. So now all you have to do is get your hands on the item and then make a post about it, or blast an email, or do a Facebook post. And
Right.
those people have seen it. So it's like, oh my gosh, she has it. We're going to be there. Where are you going to be Saturday? I'm going to be there. And you get
Right.
so that's it's like free advertisement in a way.
And usually like week before I do a pickup, I always put it out there on social media, like, hey, what are you guys looking for? Let me know. Like if you're looking for something in particular and I'm out and about and I see it, I'll grab it.
Yeah, wish list.
So people really like to have that too. Yeah, wish list, right.
A wish list is great. You just have that list with you right when you go shopping, and you can ask the guys right there at the farm, hey, do you have any of these? Do you have any of these?
Yeah.
And I know that if I was in your shoes, I would want to bring back a whole lot more than 500 plants. There's probably a lot of different things that you're like, man, I want to take 10 of that and 10 of that, but then we don't have space.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
I know that if I can fit it in the trailer,
it'll fit in the greenhouse.
In my greenhouse, because I know that they're about the same. Because I've done some, I have like events coming up that are 3-day events, and I know they're going to be almost sellout events. So I'll like overpack my trailer like insane. And for the, the week before the event, there's my greenhouse, you can't walk in it. And I may have plants in the garage, and I may have plants in the lanai. So it's just kind of become a science of how to fit what I need.
You feel like in the future, your next step might be get a bigger trailer, like a bigger, funkier, cool trailer?
You know what? I actually did purchase a second trailer last year. It looked just like Rudy, except I think Rudy is 10 feet, just over 10 feet, like trailer size. And I think this one was 19 feet. So it was almost double. And it had an in and outdoor, which was really cool. Like you kind of go in and then you leave. It was a nice little pass through. And I had figured that I was going to kind of try to do like two trailers a weekend and hire somebody to work for me and work that other trailer. But it needed so much work, and I definitely overshot. I bought with my heart and not with my head when I bought it. And it sat for a while. I didn't have the time to work on it. Fall and spring are my busiest seasons, and I bought it in the summer. It was just, so I wound up selling it. But I would like to bring something larger to like my trailer team, because different events need it. Like I'm busting at the seams with Rudy sometimes in some events.
Maybe.
But
you would have to, if you got a second trailer and you parked it outside, because now I'm thinking too, if you have such a big trailer, you might not have the space to set up,
That was something too. Yeah, because I'm in like a cookie cutter. I'm in a little HOA community. So I don't want to get a slap on the wrist for what I have. And, I measured that trailer like to the inch it was fitting in my yard. So even that was like, ooh.
Yeah,
but Rudy fits perfectly. And honestly, if you're looking at doing markets, or you're trying to do a farmer's market, I've been, screwed a couple times on space, because my trailer is 13 feet and like 10 inches.
Yeah,
and the cutoff is 12 by 12. So they charge you for 2 spaces. So the bigger the trailer, the bigger the space. A lot of places locally won't even accept me because I have a trailer, whether the city has no trailer vending, laws or something. So it's like it's a blessing, and
trailer's a blessing, and it's a statement piece, and you've learned like just so much about that world, that it's crazy that you didn't know anything about that just 4 years ago, and now you're like the fair queen with all.
Yes.
Yes. One thing that came to mind is maybe you could put a camper on the back of your truck, and you could stuff some more stuff in there, just to have more options. No, I see a lot. What is one thing you would say to someone that is wanting to start what you are doing? Because I know there might be some listeners that they're in the industry and they're trying to figure out how to break ground and how to start moving into something that they like. It might not have to be interior plants. It could be palms. It could be trees. It could be shrubs. It could be anything that's popular in their area, but as a low investment, because this is a low investment, setup and opportunity, earning. What would you say to someone like that that's on the edge of jumping in?
I think one of the biggest things that helped me in the beginning was just like reaching out and asking people. And I was surprised at how many people were like kind enough to offer the feedback. Like Hickory Lane Plants is another mobile plant trailer. And she's out west somewhere in the US. She's doing retail now and vends with 2 plant trailers on the weekends. And she was so helpful in the beginning to me when I had questions, because I mean I was coming from no knowledge. My family are small business owners, but as far as me and my husband, like we've never owned our own business. So just like reaching out, because you'll be surprised like how many people want to be helpful. And I think a lot of people genuinely don't see it as competition. They just see it as like community and wanting to like help others get started and doing something they're enjoying.
It's good that you reached out to someone that have been doing it, that has experience. It's basically your mentor in the space of what you were trying to do. And that, I'm sure the conversations that you guys had helped you move mountains and so much quicker than if you were to try to figure it out on your own. For you guys listening, that is a perfect strategy. Perfect strategy is, I see this person, they are exactly where I would want to be. How can I reach out to them? And reach out. On Instagram, it's a DM. It's that easy. And if you have 1 million followers, then maybe you get a DM back. Or if not, an email or a phone number, and just want to speak with them. And most people that are in this industry, guys, a lot of them will give you help. They might not give you the play-by-play, but they will help you out on specific things. And that's one thing that I really like about this community in the industry, is how helpful a lot of people are. Not everybody, but for the most part, a large majority are. And if you're starting out, you're not competition to them anyway. So it's not like they might see you as that. Something.
Yeah.
Well, the last question I have for you today is, what do you see the future? Where do you see the future of the green industry in your space? And what would you have to say to the youth?
I hope that my daughters will love doing what I'm doing just as much as I do. I know that I definitely got, part of my love of plants from my parents. And even though they're not in the plant field, they've always been into plants and landscaping, and they would make us work as kids, and we would, do it with them. And back then, we would roll our eyes, but now like it's definitely instilled part of my love of plants. So I really hope that we keep our kids growing things with their hands and just being outside and getting dirty and having fun, and follow that passion, throughout their life. When I was in college, I graduated with an environmental humanities degree. Never thought I'd be a police officer. Never thought I'd work for Disney. Never thought I'd be selling plants out of a trailer, but here I am. So just, I hope people are just as creative and just truly follow their passion.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, and one thing that came to mind while you were saying that is something, I don't know if this is something up your alley, but you can set up to do workshops like how Plant Me Rosie does, where you could do it for the kids at these events where they're planting little plants into another pot and they're learning about it. And I don't know, I see that, not everyone, this is an intimidating industry to get in, no matter what part you're getting in of the industry. And there's over 1,000 moving parts to this industry. So it's creating an opportunity for the youth to find a passion within it, and even have an opportunity to see it, because a lot of kids might see plants and don't even know what they are. They just know they're a plant. They don't think about it. So if you can have that one-on-one with 5 kids or 10 kids and just teach them how the plant grows and how it's supposed to have water and fertilizers, food, and how to plant it from this plant to that plant, and there's different soils, and you just talk about the common things that get overlooked, and that can instill something in them that can turn on a light bulb and make them want to continue or learn more and just be more intrigued about plants or whatever it might be.
Right.
So it's awesome. And you're right there. Like, you're right there at the fair. You can put up a sign at the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
Hit class 2 p.m.,
Yep.
And you'll have 10 moms sign up their kids for real.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's that easy. And you can have your girls there as teachers, teaching
Yep.
everybody.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. Guys, we're going to put all her information in the description down below. So you guys can reach out to her if you're looking for plants or anything like that. If you're looking to start something similar, regardless of where you are in the world, reach out to her. She would love to talk to you and just guide you on those little things that you might need to just bring life to your community and just do something positive and impactful for the people around you. All right, guys, God bless you. We love you. Stay safe. Thank you, Ashley. It's been amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned because, as always, we're going to bring fire. Love you guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this edition of The Plant Movement. Willie and Eddie invite you to connect with them on Instagram at both The Plant Movement Podcast and A's Ornamental Nursery. Those links are in the show description. Please leave us a well-worded 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help others find the show. And remember to tap the follow button so that you'll be notified when the next edition of The Plant Movement is available.